Brian Griffin might act classy, but his life is a total train wreck. His love life's a mess, his writing career's a joke, and everyone, especially Stewie, treats him like garbage. Let's dive into why being Brian sucks. Let's start with this one. Brian and Stewie were at the bank vault because Brian had some things in his safety deposit box. Stewie asked what was in there that he couldn't just bury in the yard. Brian told him he had some important things.
You have a dead bird in there? What are you going to do with that?
I was gonna take it home, show it to Lois, make her proud of me.
Nothing says, "Look, Mom, I'm responsible," like bringing home roadkill. Stewie was getting impatient. He had bought a $3,000 sweater and needed to return it. Brian and Stewie were bickering when, suddenly, the bank vault locked.
I don't believe this. Hello? Hello, we're locked in! Did you just crap your diaper?
Stewie, acting like Brian, locked the vault on purpose. Meanwhile, Brian's dealing with an emergency diaper situation. Stewie started banging on the door, but Brian had some bad news for him.
You're wasting your breath. These bank vault doors close automatically at the end of the workday. This thing won't be open again till tomorrow.
And just like that, they went from running errands to starring in their own survival movie. Stewie insisted Brian should change his diaper, but Brian told him he didn't have any diapers. That's when Stewie had something important to share.
Well, I can't be in a soiled diaper until tomorrow, Brian. We both know that. I'll get a rash, which could lead to an infection if left like this.
All right, fine. I'll take the diaper off.
Nothing builds friendship like discussing diaper rashes in a locked vault. Then, Stewie hit Brian with the worst request possible. He told him to eat his poop. Brian was disgusted and furious.
So what I would need you to do is eat what's in my diaper, lick the diaper clean, and then put the diaper back on me.
Stewie's negotiation skills are wild. He started with the worst possible demand and just kept going. Brian suddenly remembered that Stewie had his phone, but when Brian told him to call for help, Stewie decided to first call customer service to return his sweater. When Brian finally got the phone, it was dead.
It's dead. You wasted the one phone call we had to return a sweater?
A $3,000 sweater, which I am now stuck with.
Great. Now they're trapped and stuck with bad fashion decisions. Brian, completely fed up, slapped Stewie. Stewie cried in the corner. Feeling guilty, Brian made the ultimate sacrifice. He started licking the diaper. Ugh. Stewie was so disgusted he threw up.
It's done.
Got some dessert for you.
You gotta be kidding me.
This is probably the worst meal in Family Guy history. After eating everything, Brian sat silently in the corner. Broken. That's when Stewie casually realized something.
I just realized something.
What?
Tomorrow's Sunday.
Oh, great. Not only are they locked in, but now Brian's full of regret and poop. Brian had a wine bottle in his safety box. Desperate, he decided to drink it. He even offered it to Stewie, who happily accepted. Now, both of them were drunk.
I feel like dancing.
Nothing bonds two friends like trauma and alcohol. Stewie, completely wasted, decided he wanted to pierce his ear. Brian, also wasted, agreed. He grabbed a needle and stuck it in Stewie's ear.
Oh, wow. Oh.
What is it?
It's stuck.
Yes, the responsible way to get a piercing. Drunk in a bank vault with a dog. Things got tense. Suddenly, they started arguing. Stewie, feeling dramatic, told Brian to kill him. He handed Brian a gun, claiming it had no bullets. It did, and the gun went off, sending a bullet bouncing around the vault.
I'm sorry, Stewie.
Me too. How long is this gonna last?
No idea.
This is why you always check if a gun is loaded before playing dramatic games. The next morning, Stewie touched his ear and realized something felt off. He asked Brian what happened. Brian reminded him they pierced it last night. That's when Stewie asked why Brian even kept a gun.
I keep it in case I ever want to commit suicide, okay?
Well, that just got dark real fast. By the end, he was drunk, traumatized, and covered in regret and other things we won't mention. And that is why it sucks to be Brian Griffin. Let's start with this. Time travel always sounds cool until you mess up history and get yourself killed. Stewie and Brian were running for their lives while a group of armed men chased them. The men surrounded them from all sides, forcing them to jump to escape.
Damn it, we're surrounded!
Crap, they got away.
Better call the boss. Damn, I'm not getting a smoke signal here.
Nothing like a bad signal to ruin your evil mastermind moment. After jumping into a river, They finally got away. But Brian wasn't exactly celebrating. He immediately blamed Stewie for the whole mess.
Damn it, Stewie, what the hell did you do?
I know, I messed up.
I messed up. You went back to 17th century Jamestown and you gave guns to the Indians, and now they're running everything.
Time travel rule number 1. Don't give weapons to people who aren't supposed to have them. Looking at life in the 17th century, they realized how different things were from their own time.
Let's go back to Jamestown and undo... Oh dear,
What? What is it?
a return pad. Looks like it took some bullets during our escape. Doesn't seem to be working.
Of course. The time machine breaks right when they need it the most. Classic. They made their way to the 17th century Griffin house, where they met their ancestors. Peter had just returned from war and was sharing his experience. But then, things took a bizarre turn. Brian wasn't a dog in this timeline, he was a bull.
Hey, shot in the dark, but is anyone else in the mood to run really fast in one direction?
Brian's first instinct as a bull? Sprint like crazy? Not a bad plan, honestly. Back in Stewie's room, they discovered another time machine. Brian saw their chance to fix things. They traveled back to the moment when Stewie handed out the guns, watching history unfold firsthand.
Look, there you are, giving them the guns.
Stewie in action, making history one mistake at a time. Brian had a simple, foolproof plan. Just take the guns back like it was no big deal.
Listen, we've just been informed that these guns are defective. We're from the gun company. Anyway, you know how we like to take things back from you people?
Yeah, because that was totally going to work. But of course, the people weren't just going to hand them over.
Where are you taking guns?
Brian, grab the return pad.
Mission accomplished. Kind of. Later, Brian heard a loud banging from Stewie's room. He walked in to find Stewie destroying the time machine. Stewie wasn't taking any chances. He didn't want something like this happening again.
But Stewie, your time machine, it's like your crowning achievement.
Stewie throwing away his greatest invention? Yeah, that was a big deal. They went to the junkyard to completely crush the time machine. Brian looked more heartbroken than Stewie himself.
This is like the end of an era.
Oh, sack up, you twink. It's just a machine.
Brian getting sentimental. Stewie being savage. Classic duo. Afterward, they were about to go play when Stewie ran back inside to grab something. That's when he saw it. A speeding car heading straight for Brian. He screamed,
Brian, look out!
Brian, can you hear me?
and just like that, time travel wasn't their biggest problem anymore. The Griffin family rushed to the veterinary clinic, anxiously waiting for news. The doctor finally walked out, but what he said crushed them.
I'm so sorry, Mrs. Griffin, but Brian's injuries are just too severe for us to save him. I don't know how much longer he has, but I suggest that you all go in and say your goodbyes.
A talking dog is one thing, but a talking dog dying? That hit different. Stewie was devastated, but then an idea hit him. He could still save Brian.
Wait a minute. That's it! I've just got to rebuild the time machine, and then I can go back and save Brian!
If anyone could undo this, it was Stevie. Meanwhile, the family adopted a new dog. Everyone was getting along with him except for Stewie. He hated him.
God, what a jerk. If this guy thinks he's sticking around, he's sorely mistaken.
Replacing Brian? Not on Stewie's watch. In the end, messing with time had its consequences, and Brian paid the price. This episode took Brian on a roller coaster of highs and devastating lows. Success can be a double-edged sword, especially when it turns you into someone you're not. Brian learned this lesson the hard way. A package arrived for Brian, but Stewie signed for it and took it instead. When Brian checked the box, he found a note from the publisher returning all the unsold copies of his book.
You guys got a garage or something? We got like 300 boxes of these things.
Nothing says failure like you're getting your own book back by the truckload. To make things worse, Stewie showed Brian that his book had been shredded and used as packaging material. Brian was devastated.
Okay, that's it. I'm finished.
What are you talking about?
I'm finished. I'm done. It's over. Clearly, I am not meant to be a writer. I have tried, and nothing has worked out. I put my heart out there, and it keeps getting stomped on.
Brian finally hit rock bottom. His dream of being a writer was officially dead. Later, he read the newspaper and saw which book had topped the sales charts. He realized that a cheap, gimmicky self-help book had outsold his work. He told Stewie that he could write something like that easily.
No, I mean it. I could do it in 3 hours, and idiots everywhere would buy it.
Well, why don't you?
Believe me, I would love to, just to make a point, but yeah, I've given up writing.
The idea was tempting, but Brian had already decided he was done with writing. At dinner, Brian finished writing his own gimmicky self-help book in record time and showed it to Stewie.
And done. There it is, Stewie. 3 hours, 27 minutes, and I got myself one big steaming pile of book.
3 hours to write a bestseller? Who needs talent when you have frustration? Stewie called a publisher, but his expression didn't give Brian much hope. Then, out of nowhere, Stewie delivered shocking news.
Brian, they're publishing your book! You're kidding. I can't believe it. That's the worst thing I've ever written. Not according to Penguin Publishing. In fact, you're supposed to call the chief editor.
Turns out, people loved garbage, especially if it told them how to feel better about themselves. As Brian became famous, Stewie acted as his assistant, but somehow, he became even more arrogant than Brian. He bragged about booking Brian's seat on a flight and making sure he wasn't seated next to an Asian passenger.
Stewie, that's racist. That's terrible.
I'm sorry, do you want me to call back and change it?
Well, it's done now. Seems like a lot of extra work.
Fame was already going to Brian's head, and Stewie wasn't exactly helping. During a book signing, a fan approached Brian and told him how much his book had changed her life.
Well, that's what I set out to do with this book, so, I gotta tell you, that makes me feel pretty great.
Brian was starting to believe his own hype, whether he meant to or not. As his ego grew, Brian became unbearable. He stormed out of a restaurant, furious that he wasn't given a prime table, and started yelling at Stewie.
Look, I have written a best-selling phenomenon. I should be sitting in the front damn room!
Okay, I hear you.
He went from struggling writer to full-on diva in record time. When Brian got home, Lois asked about his book signing event, but he rudely brushed her off, demanding 5 minutes to himself.
It was a really horrible flight, and I was sitting next to a Japanese guy who had a cold.
Dear God, he's become a monster.
Even Lois could see what success had done to him. He wasn't the same Brian anymore. Then, on live TV, Brian made a huge mistake.
Listen, Bill, I am such a big fan of yours. I think you're totally getting the wrong impression of me. I was just trying to write something that would sell. I think it's crap, too.
Admitting that his book was garbage? Not exactly a great PR move. In the end, Brian realized how arrogant he had become and how badly he had treated the people around him.
All right, Stewie, I'm sorry that I made you uncomfortable and put you in a situation that you clearly couldn't handle.
Okay, there it is again.
The fame, the money, the ego, it all came crashing down. What started as a joke turned into success, and that success turned Brian into a total nightmare. In the end, he learned that selling out had its consequences, and maybe, just maybe, being a real writer was more important than just being a famous one. In this episode, Brian was trying to write, but the chaos outside made it impossible. He stormed out, ready to yell at some peasants, only to find Stewie micromanaging something.
Oh yeah, check it out. I'm having these guys put up a treehouse. Sort of like a man cave / dance studio kind of deal.
The boldest combination since pineapple on pizza, Stewie could not wait to flex his new setup. When Brian and Chris finally dropped by, he rolled out the red carpet. But they looked less than impressed.
They'll come by later. Maybe we can watch a movie or something.
Wow, that's super generous of you, Stewie. This place is dope.
Translation? We'll be nice to your face and roast you the second we leave. Classic. Stewie was basking in his own genius until he accidentally overheard the post-tour roast session.
I'm sorry, he wants us to come watch a movie up there? On a physio?
Oh, is that what he was saying? I couldn't hear a word over those floorboards creaking.
Oh my god, Creek City.
Stewie learned the hard way that people hate cheap TVs and hunger more than bad architecture. Meanwhile, Lois and Peter had their own weird subplot. They saw a sex therapist, and Lois learned a hypnosis trick to influence Peter in their private moments. It worked way too well.
You really don't remember? Wow, that hypnosis works.
Well, I gotta get in the shower. 'Cause of that indivisible part.
Hypnosis. The go-to when actual effort sounds too exhausting. Back in Treehouse Trauma Land, Stewie took the roast personally and completely revamped his space. Feeling smug, he invited Brian and Chris again, fully expecting applause.
Stewie, this is incredible.
Oh yeah, you like? The old place just didn't have much of a vibe,
Well, it sure as hell has a vibe now.
Stewie, I am an interior design legend. Everyone else? Sure. But the second they escaped, Brian and Chris went right back to roasting.
It's like he Googled man cave and said, Nolan Ryan?
Oh, I know.
Stewie's decorating style. Pinterest board reject with a sprinkle of midlife crisis. Later, Peter and Lois visited her rich parents, and Peter accidentally heard his hypnosis trigger phrase again, this time in an extremely unfortunate setting. Nothing like a family scandal in high-definition embarrassment. Stewie, finally done being disrespected, snapped. He trapped Brian and Chris in the treehouse and went full villain mode.
You don't think I don't know what's going on? I've heard every word you two said about me and about my man cave.
Stewie's breaking point? Getting clowned over bad furniture choices. Brian and Chris, realizing they were doomed, pulled a classic sweet talk to survive move. They buttered up Stewie by suggesting a huge event in the treehouse. Flattered and gullible, Stewie let them go.
I can't believe he bought it!
Like we would ever do Eric's nifty 50 up there.
Stewie is officially the most played baby in history. Brian trashed the treehouse, got trapped in it, and had to fake love for it just to escape. Now, he's stuck pretending forever. Yeah, it sucks to be Brian. Brian was driving back from getting his drink. It was late, and he was sleepy while driving. Then he saw the board and realized that he was almost home.
Almost home. Oh my god! Oh, please be okay, please be okay, please be okay. Oh, thank God.
1 second relief, next second, full-blown panic mode. Just Brian things. After Brian buried that dog in his garden, he thought no one saw it, but there was one person who had been watching from the start.
Oh my god, yes! Brian killed a dog! This is fantastic!
Stewie. The worst possible witness for any crime. Brian was so tense about the accident, and to release his stress, he was smoking. Stewie, knowing Brian was stressed, came up to him and started asking ridiculous questions.
So, did you hear all that noise last night? I swear to God, it sounded like somebody had an accident and maybe somebody got hurt.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, something must have gone down. The cops were poking around.
Brian, stressed out of his mind. Stewie, pouring gasoline on the fire. Brian saw the ad about the missing dog in the newspaper, and he called the number, thinking of apologizing, but what happened next was something he never saw coming.
You seen my dog? You calling about my dog? He's all I got because I'm a young street tough and my parents ain't so good to me.
Now, Brian wasn't just a dog killer. He was the villain in a heartbreaking sob story. Brian was being crushed under guilt, so he thought the only way out was to confess. And he gathered everyone, even calling Joe, and made his big announcement.
Everyone, I am a criminal. A few nights ago, I committed a murder. Then I buried the body and even went out of my way to cover up the evidence.
Oh my God!
These are very serious charges, Brian.
I know.
Brian expected shock and outrage. Instead, he got a room full of laughter. Turns out, nobody cares if you kill a dog. In the end, a firefighter arrived with some unexpected news, and he told them that they found a dead dog, and it was wearing Brian's collar.
Wow, I guess my life does have meaning. I never realized how important I was to this family.
Brian had a meltdown for nothing, got laughed at, and still ended up in the worst situation possible. Yeah, it sucks to be Brian. Brian packed a small bag and walked up to Lois and Peter, ready to tell them he was leaving. But instead of asking where he was going, they reacted in a way that made it seem like they were relieved to see him go.
Well, we knew this day would come. Good luck wherever you wind up.
Take care, buddy. Call if you want. If not, take care of yourself.
I'm just going away for a few days.
Brian, expecting concern. Peter and Lois, acting like he's moving to another planet. Then Brian explained that he was just going to a seminar. The second they realized he wasn't leaving forever, they looked disappointed. That's when Brian finally confronted them.
You thought I was leaving forever and you just said good luck? What the hell was that?
Brian, take it easy. You're not leaving forever. You're just leaving for a few days.
Nothing like realizing your own family wouldn't even chase after you. Meanwhile, Peter and Joe headed over to Quagmire's house because his dad was coming to visit. Quagmire had the most dramatic way of introducing him.
Ha! That's my dad. No one dances like Lieutenant Commander Dan Quagmire. Dad, this is Joe and Peter.
Quagmire's dad, arriving like a rock star. Joe and Peter, just trying to keep up. Later, Brian stopped by a bar to grab a drink. That's where he met Quagmire's dad, except now things were different. His dad had transitioned and was now more like Quagmire's mother.
Hey, here's to exciting new opportunities on the internet. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Oh, no, it's not you. I'm just dealing with a lot right now.
Brian just wanted a drink. Instead, he got a deep conversation he never saw coming. The two started talking and surprisingly hit it off. One drink turned into a full-on bonding session, and before long, things escalated.
You know, we are in a hotel. And I'm in room 406. Go on ahead, I'll settle up. Put it on 406.
Brian, I'm about to have the most amazing night. Reality. Oh, buddy. Just wait. The next day, Brian came home and excitedly told Lois and Peter about his trip, but more importantly, he couldn't stop talking about the woman he met.
I met an amazing woman. Finally, the whole package.
Oh, you met her at the seminar?
No, that's just it. It was right here in town last night. She's a classy, smart, beautiful lady.
Brian, convinced he found true love. Lois and Peter, already holding back the laughter. He was so impressed by her that he couldn't stop raving about her. To prove his point, he even pulled out a picture.
Look, I took a picture of her. See?
Here, Lois, take a look.
Lois and Peter completely lost it. Brian had no clue why, but the second they started laughing, he knew something was up. Confused, Brian went to Stewie to tell him about his trip, still gushing about his so-called soulmate.
And then I get back here last night and I meet an incredible woman. You know, I've heard the phrase soulmate for years, and I never got it till last night.
Brian falling head over heels. Stewie waiting to destroy his entire world. But before Brian could even process his own story, Stewie jumped right in with his own shocking news.
Well, I've got a woman story for you that you're not going to believe. Quagmire's father, decorated war hero Lieutenant Commander Dan Quagmire, is now a woman.
Brian laughing at Quagmire's dad, Stewie just waiting for it to click. Brian kept laughing, joking about the name change, completely unaware of the truth.
Oh man, what do we call him now? We still call him Dan?
No, and I'm not crazy about the name change.
What is it, like Danielle or Dana?
No, Ida.
And just like that, Brian's world came crashing down. Brian thought he had found the perfect woman. Turns out, he just walked straight into the most awkward plot twist of his life. Now, he's stuck with a mental image forever. Brian was supposed to take Stewie to the kids' library, but instead, he had other plans.
I'm just saying, we should go to the library at Quahog University and take your education to a higher level.
I guess I can try it. I mean, I do want to get ahead. I don't want to end up like Meg doing sad one-woman shows.
Brian expanding Stewie's education. Also Brian looking for college girls. Brian wasted no time trying to flirt with a student, but it was a disaster.
Lumineers?
What? You just said Lumineers with no context.
Did I do that?
Brian's flirting technique. Say random band name and hope for the best. As they were leaving, they noticed a student protest happening outside. Naturally, they got curious.
Hey, what's going on?
Someone wrote weird on the transgender bathroom and the school president didn't overreact, so we want him fired.
Brian pretending to care, Brian actually caring about camera time. Then Brian did what Brian does best, tweet impulsively.
I guess I could fire up my account again. All right, open app. Got a bunch of those, no biggie. Type in tweet, blast off in 3, 2, 1, and tweeted.
Brian, discovering Twitter like it's 2009. His tweets had 0 likes, 0 retweets, 0 shares. But did that stop him? Nope. Even at the movies, he had to keep going.
About to see the new Kevin Hart movie. Just kidding, I'm white and went to college. Hashtag Baywatch movie.
Brian's joke to failure ratio, 1 to 100. While Brian enjoyed his movie, completely unaware, his last tweet had gone viral for all the wrong reasons. Brian finally going viral, just not how he hoped. After that, the entire Griffin family faced the consequences. Lois got ignored at the store, Peter was ditched by his friends, and even Chris and Meg were getting hate at school. The whole family confronted Brian about it. They weren't just mad, they wanted him to fix it.
As you all know, I'm Brian Griffin. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to apologize.
Why did you say ladies first?
But Brian's apology flopped. Left with no choice, he ran away and moved into a sketchy old apartment, one so bad even basic survival was a struggle. But even in his new apartment, life didn't get any better. Brian learned the hard way, one bad tweet can ruin everything. Griffin's family went to see Brian's play. There, they met Brian, and Lois asked how he was feeling. He told them he was feeling a bit nervous.
Fingers crossed.
Will there be an intermission? because that will determine whether or not I bring this empty Gatorade bottle into the theater.
This is unacceptable!
Sorry, guys, I gotta go.
Brian's nerves are showing, but Peter's priorities remain questionable. The show was so amazing that, at the end, everyone stood and started cheering for Brian. A rare moment. Brian getting actual applause instead of sarcasm. After his successful play, Brian was feeling a bit egoistic. He went to Stewie and asked what he was doing.
I was gonna start rehearsing my new play. Wanna hear it?
Oh, you actually wrote a little play. Oh, boy, I wish I could hang out, but it has just gotten so crazy.
Brian's ego just hit maximum overdrive. At night, Brian was talking to Jasper. He had read Stewie's play and it was amazing. After reading it, he was feeling down.
I read the play Stewie wrote.
She writes plays now?
Yes, and it was brilliant. Jasper, I've never read anything like it in my life. It was insightful and fresh and intelligent. It's like his play is mocking me.
Brian, from overconfident to existential crisis in record time. In the morning, Lois shouted in excitement, called Brian and told him that his drama had been nominated for the local Hoggy Award for Best Creative Anything, but his reaction was awful. Stewie came to Brian and said he wasn't confident and didn't know if he should even submit his play.
Submit it?
Yeah, I was planning to submit it to the Roundabout Theater Company in New York.
No, I mean that would be a bad idea. Definitely not. No, they won't let you down easy like I did.
Brian, sabotaging Stewie out of pure jealousy? Not subtle at all. At night, Brian stole Stewie's play. The next morning, Stewie came back to ask Brian if he had seen it, but Brian started talking about some random things. But Stewie was only asking because he already knew the answer. He confronted Brian with his play, which he found in the yard near his area. The next day, he came to Brian with a request.
Hey, I need you to take me to New York for the opening night of my play.
No way.
Brian's guilt trip just upgraded to a full-on road trip. Brian was drinking outside the party on the stairs. Then, Stewie came to him. Brian started telling him how he felt.
I was so happy until I read your play, Stewie. I finally had some kind of success as a writer. It wasn't big, but it was mine. I was fine being an okay writer, until I discovered I was living in the house with a brilliant one.
Brian just realized he's not even the best writer in his own house. Brian finally got success, but Stewie outshined him. He tried to cheat, but karma hit back. In the end, even his big moment was a fake. The Griffins rushed to a DVD sale where each movie was just $1. The whole family was excited, grabbing whatever they could find. Brian was browsing through the selection when Stewie walked up immediately and started questioning his taste.
What? I heard it's good.
No, I get it. He's resting his head on pancakes. It looks hilarious.
Stewie mocks Brian's choice, making it clear he finds it ridiculous. Meanwhile, Peter was driving like an absolute maniac, paying no attention to the road. His reckless behavior finally caught up with him when he crashed straight into another car. Brian immediately jumped out to check on the damage and apologize.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry. I wasn't really looking where I was going.
Probably a little blame on our side, too.
Brian tries to be responsible, but Peter's careless driving still puts them at fault. Despite the accident, Brian wasted no time getting a little too comfortable with the woman they hit. Out of nowhere, he invited her to dinner. The next night, he arrived at her house, eager to pick her up for the date.
Oh, hi, I'm Rita, her mom. You must be the one she had that fender bender with.
Well, I got to meet Nicole, so I prefer to think of it as a happy accident. Is she ready?
Oh, well, unfortunately, she left for dinner with another guy about half an hour ago.
What? We had a date!
Brian's date ditched him, and now he's stuck making small talk with her mom. Not wanting to leave empty-handed, Brian quickly changed his approach. He started complimenting Rita's mom, saying she must have been quite the catch back in the day when she revealed she was actually divorced. Brian saw an unexpected opportunity.
Well, at the risk of humiliating myself once again, I still have a reservation.
Well, I don't have plans.
Well, terrific.
Brian smoothly shifts from dating the daughter to taking the mom out instead. Despite the awkwardness, Brian and Rita continued their relationship and even got engaged. Things were going well until one day, Rita had an accident and got hurt. Brian was confused about how it even happened.
She's fine. She's out of surgery and she's resting.
Well, how did she break it? Did she fall?
Well, yes, she fell.
Boy, you know, Brian, a woman her age comes in here, they don't always leave.
The doctor makes it sound like Rita is too old to recover properly. Brian went out to get medicine for Rita, but instead, he got distracted and ended up at a bar. And while there, he found himself talking to a younger woman, enjoying the attention a little too much. Rita catches him, and Brian realizes he just ruined another relationship. No matter what Brian does, life always finds a way to mess it up. Being Brian Griffin just sucks. It was Halloween night, aka free candy and bad costumes. Stewie, clueless about the holiday, was playing with Rupert when he heard screams outside, which could mean fun or full-blown crisis.
What was that? Oh my god! I knew this day would come! Rupert, we're under attack by monsters! Dear God!
Ah, yes. Because kids screaming clearly means the world is ending. Stewie had no clue about Halloween, so, of course, he panicked and started shooting at kids in costumes. When in doubt, go full action hero. That's when Brian walked in.
Stewie, those aren't monsters, they're kids. They're trick-or-treaters.
Trick-or-treaters?
The joys of explaining basic childhood traditions to a baby with military-grade weapons. Once Brian convinced him Halloween wasn't the apocalypse, Stewie got dressed in a duck costume and went outside. He looked ridiculous, but at least he wasn't armed anymore. After getting loads of candy, he was beyond thrilled.
Oh my god, Brian, you were right. Halloween is the best. Look how much candy I have.
Stewie was living his best life until, of course, reality hit. A group of older kids stole his candy and ran off, because nothing teaches life lessons faster than childhood crime. Desperate, he searched for Brian.
You abandoned me, and some larger children took my candy. All right, look, just calm down. It's still early. We'll get you more candy.
Brian and Stewie came up with a plan to steal the candy back, because reasoning with children is pointless when you can just commit theft. Unfortunately, they failed miserably.
Ah! Well, there's only one thing to do now. Go to Plan B. Mom!
Plan B? Mom intervention. Truly, the nuclear option.
Justin, you give this young man his candy back right now.
Candy, chaos, and always having a backup plan. Stewie mistook trick-or-treaters for real monsters, then lost its candy to actual ones. What happened to Stewie was brutal until you see the modeling industry is even worse. And that's a wrap on Why It Sucks to Be Brian Griffin. If you want to see the Family Guy episodes everyone hates, check out that video.